Do you all hear me? Students can hear me? Yes? ठीक है तारिक, स्टार्ट करें. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Uzma Nusrat, the Assistant Professor, the Obstetric and Gynecology Unit 1. And today our topic of discussion is the fecal and the urinary and fecal incontinence. Regarding the terminology of the incontinence, means the woman has the problem to hold the urine, the feces, that she become incontinent. And likewise, this is a very major problem that the woman nowadays, or basically the third world countries, the woman is facing the problem regarding the urinary and the fecal incontinence. How big this problem is, you see on the slide that it is being estimated to involve about the 2 to 7 millions of the women will be affected. Estimated of about 75,000 new cases each year, with 3 to 5 cases per 1,000 pregnancies. There are several surgical methods, sometimes the cultural and the religious methods that perpetuate the status. And you all say, okay, what would be the reason for this incontinence? That all being not neither the woman that currently the education, resources, not the rights to change the underlying causes for the fistula. Fistula means that is a connection between the reproductive organ then to the urinary tract, which includes the ureter, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. So that's why if there is a channel or a connection that has been developed in between these three areas to the vagina, so that it will lead to the urinary incontinence. The woman become completely incontinent, that it's not able to hold the urine. The urine is continuously dribbling and dribbling. So the fistulas are considered to be a very major cause for the incontinent. And as you all have seen that the estimated cases or the millions that all being regarded to the complications associated with the pregnancy. So now the sites of the urine leakage through the vagina. As I've discussed you that anatomically the reproductive tract, that is the urinary, the uterus, the cervix and the vagina, they are anteriorly related with the urinary bladder and posteriorly it is related with the rectum. So whenever there is a problem associated with the obstructive, mainly the obstetrical reason or any other reason that causes a formation of an fistulous tract between that, it may be from bladder, the urethra, or a ureter into the vagina. So these are the common sites. Number one is the vesicovaginal fistula, that is from the bladder, means the communication developed from the bladder to the, from in between the bladder and the vagina, and that is called as the vesicovaginal fistula. That will lead to a continuous urinary incontinent a woman be. Then the uretrovaginal fistula, that is from the ureter. Whenever there is a causes that lead to the some pathological changes or the anatomical disruption that lead to the formation of this fistulous tract between the ureter and the vagina. The third one is the urethrovaginal fistula from the urethra. Means at the outer level, there is some problem occurs or there is something structurally damage occur at that area that it develops the continuous fistulous tract between the urethra and the vagina. That is called as uretrovaginal fistula. Okay. Now, uretrovaginal fistula now can be clinically distinguished with methylene dye in the bladder and 3 swabs along the length of the vagina. Means this is how we can do it. We can just install the bladder cavity with a methylene dye. And we insert a long gauze, 3 gauze pieces along the length of the vagina, the upper, middle, and the lower. And we observe after filling of the methylene dye in the bladder, which swab become soaked. If the swab or we can do it by a cystoscopy or a IVP, intravenous pyelography. So in that cases, if you insert the 3 swabs along the length of the vagina, means that if the upper swab is soaked, it is more likely the uretrovaginal fistula. The middle one indicate the vesicovaginal fistula, and the soakage of the last swab, which is just near to the outlet or cavity, that soakage indicates the uretrovaginal fistula. Or you can identify the fistulous tract or a tract through the cystoscopy, which is a microscopic examination under direct vision through a cystoscope to see where is the gap, or where is the loss of contact is there, or where there's a loss of integrity, or with the intravenous pyelography. Now, what are the causes for the urinary fistula? In the obstetric and also the gynecological cases, these tracts, whenever being found from the reproductive tract to the vagina, leading to the continuous dribbling of the urine and making the woman the urine incontinent. So it may be due to obstetric injuries. What would be the injuries? In the third world country, it is the obstructed labor and the bladder necrosis. What happens? What is the obstructed labor? Obstructed labor means when the woman, the baby progress beyond that of the non-progressive labor, the baby is stuck into the maternal pelvis, and there the signs of substruction develop. That is no descent. There's a formation of the caput. The bladder become higher up, so that the progress would be no more there. So that is the obstructed labor, which lead to the part of the fetus which is there being obstructed deep into the pelvis. It compresses between the bladder and the fetal head. The bladder is being compressed, leading to the bladder necrosis. In the first world countries, that it is the LACS and unrecognized bladder or ureteric injuries. In our countries, the obstructed labor and bladder necrosis is most common reason for the obstructed injury leading to the fistula. But in first world countries, the lower segment cesarean section or unrecognized bladder or ureteric injury during the cesarean lead to this fistula's formation. Regarding the gynecological surgeries, like there are 2 types of the surgeries in which the woman become incontinent, like hysterectomy, that is the damage to the bladder or the ureter lead to the formation of the fistula, or the incontinence repair in which the urethra become damaged and it will lead to the woman, the incontinent. Malignancy of the bladder or the cervix. It's all obvious that when is a malignant region is there, basically involving the cervix and the bladder. So, or the bladder, the malignancy is there. It can damage the walls of the specific organ, that it produces a fistulous tract between the urinary tract as well as between the vagina and the urinary tract. Radiotherapy. Usually the radiotherapy means the formation in those, basically radiotherapy in those cases in which the woman is having the malignancies of the cervix, in which the brachytherapy will be there, and it causes the scarring and the fibrosis of the lower vaginal tract, and all of the bladder base will also produces one of the cause for the fistula, or it could be a congenital one. Or trauma. Trauma, basically any trauma other than the obstetric or a gynecological region due to any accident or any local trauma that will lead to the formation of the disruption of the integrity between the urinary tract and the vagina. Now, you all have a question, why the obstetrical fistulas being formed? The obstetrical fistulas are formed whenever the labor is being not properly monitored, not properly addressed, that there will be a chances of obstructed labor. So if the labor must be properly monitored and properly washed out according to the progress, so that the woman won't be letting into the obstructed labor. So whenever there is an obstructed labor or a neglected labor, that fetal head impacted into the pelvic cavity, and this impacted fetal cavity between the pelvic bone and this structure, the bladder become compressed, leading to the area of necrosis. If cannot be treated well, cannot be identified well, on the time being passed, it will develop an opening or a fistulous tract in between. Difficult operative delivery means that if there is a headed well down, but the baby is very badly impacted, and there will be indication for the instrumental vaginal delivery or operative vaginal delivery, and it is difficult to dislodge the baby or applying for that, it will lead to the formation of the fistula. Traditional practices, there are certain practices in which the lower segment has not been taken at properly and the bladder damage risk was there. Pelvic immaturity, it will be usually in the cases of the young girls in which the pelvis is not mature, the shape of the pelvis is not mature, which is ultimately leading to the non-progressive labor or the obstructed labor. Nutritional deficiencies, and the nutritional deficiencies means that there will be a loss of the poor supply to the structures like the muscular supply, the nerve supply, and the basically the nutritional support of the ligaments, the muscular was not good. And whenever the woman entered into the labor, it will lead to the tearing of the tissues and early damaging of the tissues because of nutritional deficiencies. Socio-cultural factors are one in the other way can causes the obstructed labor, that the woman in the areas where the proper expertise were not there, they take the woman to the areas who are not expert to have a delivery or to assess whether the woman is going into the obstructed labor or a difficult labor, so that these are the social or cultural factors that they want to do it at home or at any places where the woman is being unattended or not being properly attended during the delivery. Now, what are the predisposing conditions? You all know that the predisposing conditions are there. If they are there, you must be cautious about that. It will lead to the cause which forms the fistula, means the obstructed labor or a not proper labor that causes the deep impaction of the baby and lead to the fistula formation and making the woman incontinent. So these predisposing factors are the early age at labor with the pelvic immaturity, android or the anthropoid pelvis, that the pelvis is not of a proper shape, and the android pelvis, which is narrow and which is contracted, anthropoid, which is also contracted from the pelvis and the diameters are less. Genital mutilation is one of the cause, cultural and social factors impeding the care, economic factors impeding the access and availability of the care. Means that the social and the cultural factors in the other way, in the indirect way, they are affecting the woman, that they have not any access to go for the tertiary care levels, and they have not such enough money, or they don't have not socially well off to take them to a higher centers for the expertise. So they all have faced these type of problems during the labor. The care accessibilities and availabilities are not there, so the woman suffers. Now, regarding the fistula development, how the fistula become developed? You all know that anatomically, the anterior vaginal wall is there, the bladder base, and the urethra. They all are compressed between the fetal head and the posterior surface of the pubis. As I've discussed before, that in the obstructed cases or in the cases where in the normal delivery cases, the difficult cases, difficult operative deliveries and the obstructed labor, what is happening? This anterior vaginal wall, the bladder base, and the urethra is compressed between the fetal head and the posterior surface of the pubic symphysis. If it gets prolonged obstruction, deep impaction of the baby for a longer period of time, there is no progress, it will lead to the area of necrosis. Means so in the prolonged obstructed labor, this pressure necrosis of the anterior vaginal wall and the underlying bladder neck occurs. And more extensive necrosis involves the urethra, the trigone, and the anterior cervix if it is not being relieved in proper time. This is here that the social and the matters follows. They have not the facility to access to the tertiary care or expertise in time. So whenever the time passes on, they lead to the prolonged obstruction, leading to this type of problem. And the mother survives, the macerated fetus is expelled 3-4 days later. So this all happening, if it is, she is not being attended, that baby die there, and it will expelled out on its own, but it develops and formation of a fistula if the woman was not attended properly. So the sloughing of this devitalized tissue, that is the bladder and the vagina, 10 days later. And the wide area of the pressure results in anatomical area widening affected by the scarring and the devascularization. So this happens with the formation of the fistula. Fistula is not just that in a few minutes or a 1 hour or in a very smaller duration of an obstructed labor can lead to a fistula. It can have that you see the area of necrosis before discharging the patient if she has a case of the prolonged labor or a prolonged obstructed labor and the cesarean section were performed on the obstructed labor. But if these women are left unattended, what happens? This happens that if they survive, their macerated baby delivered on its own, but the bladder and the area which undergoes a severe necrosis of these duration lead to the wide area of pressure, leads to anatomical area widely affected by scarring and the devascularization. Now this picture. Now you all see that this is the uterus, the urinary bladder on the left. Anteriorly, this is a pubic symphysis bone. This is a vaginal tract. Posteriorly is the rectum. And you see in the bladder neck area, there is a vesicovaginal fistula formation. If you go back into a laboring condition, this uterus is having a baby inside. So in the upper level of the vagina, just delivering when the cervix becomes fully dilated, this is that area where the vesicovaginal fistula is mentioned, where the fetal head was stuck or obstructed for a longer duration of time. So that lead to the disruption of the mucosal and the area of the necrosis in the anterior vaginal wall between the bladder base and the trigone, and it compresses in between the pubic symphysis, leading to the area of the necrosis and formation of this fistula. Okay? So you hope you understand this is a vesicovaginal fistula which is formed. This is a continuous tract from the bladder into the vagina and the woman become incontinent. So this is that in the picture, you see a catheter. A metallic catheter has passed, which is the upper edge of the catheter is at the top. And you see it is with a small fleshy part in between the two ends of this catheter. It is coming out through the vagina. So this is a moderate size vesicovaginal fistula from obstructed labor. And the metal catheter passed through the urethra is clearly visible through the bladder base, which is missing. And you all know, whenever there is the vesicovaginal fistula formed, the woman approaches you, came in emergency or came in OPD with the continuous dribbling of the urine or continuous passing of the urine, that is a urinary incontinence diagnosis have been made. So whenever the woman with a history or a close history of this the obstructed labor, and she's initially having a dribbling, then she comes to the continuous passage of the urine, and that was not under her control. So that is called the urinary incontinence. So you all see that this type of a fistula, when formed, you all know the urine can't be stopped. There is a urinary incontinence that she won't able to hold all the urine that becomes forming, that all being coming through the vagina. Now, there are different types of the obstetrical fistulas. We all know that the vesicouterine fistula, that is the cervical, it will be formed at the cesarean section, at the inlet, and obstruction at the inlet. Agar inlet पे obstruction होती है, तो what happens? There is a basically formation of the vesicouterine fistula or a cervical fistula. Now, the justa cervical means there is an obstruction at the pelvic inlet. Mid-vaginal अगर fistula form है, तो obvious is that there is a mid-pelvic obstruction. Suburethral, that is at the base of the pubic bone, means there is a pressure point which is bounded at the base of the pubic bone, then there will be a suburethral fistula formation. Total urethral loss, that is obstruction at the pelvic outlet. When the baby come out and it get obstructed at the pelvic outlet, at the pelvic outlet, and there would be a disruption and there will be a pressure over the vaginal wall as well as to the lower base of the urethra, lead to a total urethral loss. Now, the combined VVF and RVF. VVF means the vesicovaginal fistula and RVF means rectovaginal fistula. So you all hope to know that what is the vesicovaginal fistula leading to? The vesicovaginal fistula leading to urinary incontinence, and the rectovaginal fistula leading to fecal incontinence. Okay, means it is coming from the vagina. Long and obstructed labor, अगर बहुत ज़्यादा long और obstructed labor है, तो it both lead to the necrotic area of the anterior vaginal wall as well as the posterior vaginal wall. So the anterior vaginal wall necrosis with the base of the bladder between the pubic symphysis leading to the vesicovaginal fistula, and the posteriorly the rectum and the posterior vaginal wall area of the necrosis leading to the rectovaginal fistula, that is the fistula, that is fistula tract between the vagina and the rectum leading to the passage of the fecal material through the vaginal or the posterior vaginal wall. Or the uterovaginal, that is uretrovaginal. You all know that the uretrovaginal means that it is from the higher up side. That is, the ureters are there, or the level of the ureters. So it is obvious that will be done at cesarean hysterectomies or the cesarean section. In the cesarean section, there will be a likely or accidentally being causes to damage of the ureter, and the impacted, when you take it out, it will have a very communicational gap between the vaginal wall and the ureter. So in that cases of the cesarean section and the cesarean hysterectomy, there is a chances of the fistula development, and that type of the fistula which form on the cesarean section as well as the cesarean hysterectomy is the uretrovaginal fistula. Now the obstructed labor injury complex. Now the urological injuries. What are the urological injuries? That is the vesicovaginal fistula, the uretrovaginal fistula, the uretro, and the uterovaginal fistulas are all there. Or it could be a complex, that is one of the more sites of the fistulas have been made that make the woman urinary incontinent. Urethral damage, that is a complete urethral destruction. Bladder stones, this is also leading to the complex injuries. Stress incontinence might be because of the damage. Because of that, the marked loss of bladder tissues from extensive pressure necrosis, secondary hydroureteronephrosis, chronic pyelonephritis, and renal failure. These are the urological injuries that are from the obstructed labor injury complex. They all causes the reason for the obstructed labor that lead to these type of injury complexes regarding the urological area. That is all causes these type of problems. Gynecological injuries like amenorrhea, vaginal stenosis, the cervical injuries, including the complete cervical destructions because of any other problems, the growth or any lesion, secondary pelvic inflammatory disease, and the secondary infertility. These are the gynecological injuries. Now, gastrointestinal injuries like the rectovaginal fistula formation, rectal stenosis, or the complex rectal atresia, anal sphincter incompetence, musculoskeletal injuries like osteitis pubis, neurological injuries like foot drop from lumbosacral or the common peroneal nerve injury, or complex nephropathetic bladder dysfunction. Means that there are type of fistula you have learned. The obstructed labor injury complex में urogenital injury जो हो सकती है, these are the causes for the urogenital injuries, and these are the gynecological injuries. Gynecological injuries that lead to this fistula amenorrheic means amenorrhea, usually the primary amenorrhea, means that there is the tract formation or the tract is not formed, and the vaginal stenosis that also lead to these causes. And these are the GI, the gastrointestinal injuries, that is the rectovaginal fistula, the rectal stenosis or the complete rectal atresia, musculoskeletal injuries, neurological injuries. Dermatological means that is a chronic exfoliation of the skin from the maceration by urine and the feces. Okay, means that okay, these are the injuries that are being associated with the obstructed labor. So dermatological injuries that are associated with the continence, kya hoga? There is a chronic exfoliation of the skin from the maceration by the urine or the feces, that are continuously the urine is dribbling or the feces is dribbling. Fetal injury, that is a fetal case fatality rate about 95%, that is all causes. Social injuries, that is a social isolation because of the urinary incontinence. What is happening? What the happening to the woman if she is having the urinary incontinence? There are social factors out there. If the urine is continuously dribbling, she has a very bad social life. She become isolated. She had the marital status being affected, her poverty being worsened out. She become malnutrition because all these things leading to her a very bad social life, that not being properly cope up with the normal healthy person in between the society. Depressions, and sometimes they commit the suicides or the premature deaths. So these are problems that are related to the formation of the fistula, that it become all the urological injuries जो कि fistulas में से forms हो रही हैं, and then the gynecological problems, the GI, the musculoskeletal dermatological problems because of the exudation of the skin from maceration by the urine or the feces, and these are the social injuries that is being caused by the fistula formation. Now, how will you manage this fistula? We have to manage the fistula. First of all, before going to the management of the fistula that is causing a completely woman urinary incontinent, we have to first diagnose or being specify what is the size of the lesion. Sometimes the size of lesion is small, or sometimes the size of lesion is big. So depending on the size, if the size of the fistula is small, so the management will be that you indwell the catheter for a longer duration of time, or you insert the ureteric stents, that is the catheter from the bladder into the ureter, up to the ureter, will be kept for a longer duration of time until the small lesions will be healed up. So we wait for the spontaneous closure, and we assess through the cystoscopy or the other methods so that we can assess the closure after the bladder catheterization. This is the management for small lesions. But if the lesion is large, wait until healed, then close from below or above. 3-layered closure, bladder catheter or ureteric stent. So these are the lesions. Okay, if the lesion is big, आप उसका wait करते हैं healing के लिए कि उसके edges heal हो जाएं. Then close from the below or above, either from abdominal or a vaginal approach. You heal up the close up the fistula, 3-layer closure of the vaginal wall, the mucosa and the bladder mucosa, and the bladder catheter and the ureteric stenting also done after the procedure for a longer duration of time, so that to make the area healed, the surgical area healed. So the urinary fistula that is leading a woman incontinent depend upon the size of the lesion. If the small size lesions are there, you go for a bladder catheter and ureteric stenting for a longer duration time and wait for the spontaneous closure, assess the area and the bladder catheter then being decided to remove. But if the lesions are larger enough, you wait for until the healed, it will be healed, so that it can make the immediate procedure was not done in that cases. So until it will be healed, that the margins will be healed, then it will be closed either from vaginal route or the abdominal route, and the 3-layer closure and the bladder and the ureteric stenting will be done. So this is about the urinary fistulas or the urinary incontinence. You all see that in this part of the urinary incontinence, usually in the women which are more affected by the obstructed labor or the labor complications that lead to the formation of the fistula, that is a tract between the reproductive system and the reproductive system, and the urinary system, the formation of the tract that lead to a woman incontinent. The more common reason for that is the obstructed labor. So we all done with that. The reason for the obstructed labor, the prolonged labor, the obstructed labor, it could be at the inlet, at the mid cavity, and the outlet, leading to the three formations of the fistula, like uretrovaginal fistula, vesicovaginal fistula, and the urethrovaginal fistula. And then you go through with the injuries that are associated with the formation of these type of fistula, that leading to amenorrhea, the pelvic inflammatory diseases, subfertility, as well as the chronic excoriations of the skin in dermatology, nerve damage, and the social matters also being occurred. They have the marital problems. They have a very severe depression because of the continuous dribbling of the urine or the continuous incontinence of the urine, making them all being away from the social society, and they become, because they're happening in the poor areas, so the worsening of their poverty is also there. But the reason, what is the management? Small can be leading to their own with the ureteric and bladder catheterization, and the big lesions, we will wait for the healing of their scar, and will be closure abdominally or vaginally, leaving that bladder and ureteric catheter for a longer period of time until it becomes successful. Now, regarding the causes of the bowel fistula, means the obstetric injuries that will lead to the fistula formation of the rectum or the anal area into the vagina, which lead to the fecal incontinence. That is the obstetric injury, 3rd and 4th degree perineal tears. Okay, so the bowel fistulas, usually the 4th degree tear, means the tear can involve the vaginal mucosa to the bladder sphincters and the anal mucosa. Till the anal mucosa, it is being, or the rectal mucosa have been torn out. That will lead to the 4th degree perineal tear and formation of the fistulous tract from the rectum into the posterior vaginal wall. Gynecological injuries means posterior repair. Sometimes a posterior repair because of the woman who is having the rectocele, and during that procedure or the repair, the rectum or the bowel have been opened up, or have been the injury to that area and the formation of the fistula. Malignancy, obviously the malignancy of the rectum and cervix, excoriation of the lesion, the spread of the lesion, making the fistula formation. Radiotherapy, again with the cervix or the other malignancy, radiotherapy, the brachytherapy, led to the scarring and the fibrosis and the damaging of the vaginal mucosa and formation of the fistula. Inflammatory bowel syndromes like the Crohn's disease, and another, the congenital. Now, how we go for the management of the fecal fistulas or the incontinent may require the diversionary colostomy, means that whenever we're waiting for their repair, we make a diversionary colostomy to make them the passage clear and not being involved with the pieces, to make it rest until the region will be healed out. Must treat the underlying problem when there will be inflammatory disease or a cancer, and may also require the anal sphincter repair. Regarding the fecal incontinence, or in that, there must be a reason. The treatment of the reason is mandatory. Whether this reason could be due to the inflammatory bowel disease, could be the reason of the malignancy, or if there would be a region for the obstetrical or gynecological injury region, that must be addressed, number one. Number two is that whenever the repair has been done of the fistula, the sphincter repair must be done at the same time. It could be a 3rd degree or a 4th degree, perineal tear or a vaginal tear. So regarding this, that diversionary colostomy has been made, and in the meantime, the surgery will be done for the repair or the treatment of the underlying problem, like might be there's an inflammatory disease or a cancer, must be addressed. And then at the end, the anal sphincter repair should also be accompanied with the repair of this fistula, so that the fecal incontinence must be treated. Okay, thank you. There will be the urethra. The urethra is damaged, or there's a low, there will be a suprapubic catheterization will be there, one of the method, or with the cystoscopic guided ureteric catheterization will be done in that cases if the lower area is affected. And there are degree of the tears. There are the obstetrical degree, that is the 3rd degree, 4th degree perineal tears, which involves the 4th degree tear means it is involving up to the rectal mucosa. The 3rd degree tear is the 3rd A and B, which is the sphincters, involvement up to the sphincters. And the 2nd degree is just like that of an episiotomy up to the mucosa and the muscles. So the 4th degree perineal tear is up to the rectal mucosa. Okay, anything else? Your next lecture will be taken by Dr. Afsham, the malpresentation and malposition. Is that okay? All you understand? Hope you all understand.